with all the files.
You see the screen with the files?
With the files in the background of city. I don't see them.
Do you see the web page now?
I do now.
Okay, I was sharing the wrong monitor. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Anthony Chamont from Tyndall Oliver, Safety Consultant to District 7 and District 4. Quick little overview of the Tampa Bay Traffic Safety web page. This is the information this is the location where all the information for the Safety Academy is located. Over on the left, we have a link for Safety Academy. And this is the location where everything is located. You're already here, obviously, so you've been registered, but if you wanted to share the registration link with somebody else, this is where they would go. Click on this and registers them through GoToWebinar. This is also the location where upcoming webinars are going to be posted. We have a list of tentative dates. I believe Dennis will go into this during his intro, and we have some of the topics for the upcoming sessions. We're working on finalizing the rest of them for the year. We have all the presentations and the recordings from the prior years that we've been doing this. I'll create a new section for 2015 after we complete the registration for today. And down at the bottom of this, there is also a PDH request, professional development hours for professional engineers. Download the link and follow the instructions on there. I wanted to point out real quick also that there's a new section of the webpage for Safe Routes to School, the topic that's being covered today. It is across the top over here, kind of being featured for now, and I think eventually it'll just stay over here on the left side under engineering. But just to let you be aware, I'll go over the online application after Sarita's presentation today. With that, I will change it over to Dennis for the formal Academy intro.
Can you see it, Anthony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Dennis Falloon, and I'm the District 7 Safety Academy Coordinator Consultant, and I want to welcome you to the fourth series of webinars for 2016 for the District 7 Safety Academy. And today's topic is Safe Routes to School, which will be presented by Sarita Taylor, who is the Safe Routes to School Coordinator in Tallahassee FDOT headquarters. Sarita started with FDOT in 1999 in Bartow, which is District 1, FDOT District 1, and is now the FDOT Central Office Safe Routes to School Coordinator since July 2012. I would like to go in and just give you a brief overview of the Academy. And as I've mentioned before, for all those that have heard this introduction before, I welcome you again for the 2016. And those that are new, this will be new to you. But basically, the seminars are being offered to provide information for the local agencies to enhance their local safety programs. So these topics are purposely given to help the local agencies to enhance your local agency programs. This is the fourth year. We're beginning today with the first webinar. The webinars usually run about 2 hours, 10 to 12 is the time frame. We have it tentatively scheduled to end on a Wednesday, December 14, 2016. They usually are a minimum of 1 hour, but no more than 2 hours in length. And the length of each webinar will depend on the topic being presented. As Anthony mentioned earlier in his introduction, there is a place to register on the web page, and I've also shown it here. And you can also go to this link, also shown on the screen, that will get you in there. The workshop series. As you'll note, today is the 6th, and we have Safe Routes to School. And on February 10th, we're going to have Force to Count webinar. And the other dates shown here reflect dates that we filled in before the February 10th date as I finalized setting up presenters into the specific dates. So that's why they're blank right now, because I've been talking to folks and we've had to shuffle some things around. The session is being submitted for AICP CM credits for the American Institute of Certified Planners. When you get notices for the webinars, usually issued at the beginning of each month, 2 weeks before the webinar, 2 days before the webinar, and about 2 hours before the webinar. The remaining, I just mentioned about how the webinar topics are currently being finalized, so that's just repetitious. If you're a professional engineer and you want to get PDHs for Florida as a PE, then you would download the form that Anthony mentioned previously, where it was located, and you would send it to Larry Hagan through this process. That form, he needs to get that form to process the certification for it. Also, this is just my data. If you have any questions or need assistance, so you can send me an email and give me a call. And with that, I want to turn it over to Sarita Taylor and Safe Routes to School.
Well, we set her up. There's a couple of poll questions. First, how many people are in the room with you? Give you a few minutes to vote here.
You have to show your screen.
Oh. Do you not see the poll? Oh, well, you're an organizer, Dennis. You don't see the poll.
Oh, that's right.
All right, we've got most people have voted now. Let's go ahead and close that and show the results. So most folks are in there by themselves. We have a few that have a partner, and 3 to 4. Doesn't look like we have a large conference room with a bunch of people in it right now. And pertaining to the topic, have you ever submitted a State Routes to School application? Most folks have voted there. Sarita, looks like you've got your work cut out for you. We've got 76% of the audience has never submitted a State Routes to School application, so this will be a very informative webinar for you folks. And out of the ones that have submitted an application, have you been awarded one? All right, looks like most people have chimed in. Close and share that. And it looks like 39% of the folks that apply do receive one. So again, even for the people that have applied, this will be a good webinar because you'll learn the ins and outs and how to make your applications better, so we can get that ratio there a little bit higher. Sarita, I'm going to make you the percentile. You'll get a prompt on your screen asking you if it's okay to share. Just select yes on that. There we go. We can see your screen.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? As you can probably tell, I'm a little bit under the weather, so just kind of bear with me. I will be polite enough to mute if I need to cough. Most of you folks have at least heard about Safe Routes to School. Well, since 2005, the Florida Safe Routes to School program has come a long way. We've had many engineering improvements built. Many educational and encouragement programs have been implemented all around the state. However, as the polls show, there's still questions about how to apply for Safe Routes. So that's what this program or this presentation is going to be focusing on today. Plus, I'm going to give you a few bits of additional information about the program in general. So what is Safe Routes to School? Safe Routes to School programs are meant to get more students walking and biking where it's safe, and then to go out and fix the areas where it's not safe. The opportunity to bike and walk to school offers a solution to an array of concerns about traffic safety, congestion, transportation cost, the environment, as well as the lack of physical activity. At the same time, walking and biking to school provides an opportunity for students to build independence. So our goals are based on making all of that into reality. Congress established the Federal Safe Routes to School program that provided over $1 billion to states for community safe routes to school projects. The funds were sent to state DOTs who decided how the funds were spent. Eligible activities were infrastructure, such as sidewalks, crosswalks, signs, and signals, and non-infrastructure. Each state distributed their funds differently using their own criteria and formula based on their priorities. Matching funds were not required. Every state had their own Safe Routes to School coordinator. How did Florida do? I think we did pretty well. We programmed a little over $58 million through September 30th, 2012. The funds were distributed to the 7 districts. Each district managed their Safe Routes to School program using the state guidelines. And with this $58 million, we programmed over 269 infrastructure projects as well as educational programs throughout Florida. Safe Routes programs and projects reached well over 1,000 schools statewide. Florida's program has a Safe Routes to School coordinator that provides program direction, training, project review, communications such as newsletters, webinars, trainings. But the district Safe Routes to School coordinators are the ones who really make it all happen. They're the ones that program the projects. They reach out to the local schools and governments. They review and rank the projects. They keep the interest going. Without them, our projects would not happen. We've learned a lot in the past 10 years. The first couple of years were slow as far as the applications coming in. However, it only took just that one project to be programmed, and all the local agencies and schools to see, wow, this is what can be done. So soon applications were coming in more than we could ever program. Yes, we understand there's a lot of information and legwork that's required to complete the application. However, it is worth it when a project is built and students are using it to get to school. Through the years, the application process has evolved, and yes, it will continue to evolve based on information that we receive. The key to a successful Safe Routes to School project is having 5 E's. 5 E's need to work across the entire system. Not just one of these E's alone will make a successful project. It doesn't matter how great your program, change will not last. Students need education about safe walking and biking. They walk around the streets. They walk to vehicles. What we need to remember is everybody is a pedestrian. We also need to educate our parents, neighbors, and other drivers, send home the message that safety does not happen by accident. It's a reminder for all roadway users to pay attention, follow the rules of the road, And you can get more information on this if you go to the Alert Today Florida website. Now let's look at encouragement. Encouragement strategies are about having fun. They generate excitement and interest in walking and biking. This is one of the complementary strategies that Safe Routes to School programs use to increase the number of students who walk and bike to school. In particular, encouragement and education strategies are closely intertwined, working together to promote walking and biking by rewarding participation and educating students and adults about safety and the benefits of biking and walking. It plays an important role in the overall Safe Routes to School program because it builds interest and enthusiasm, which can buoy support for changes that might require some more time and resources, such as constructing a new sidewalk. Now, let's talk about enforcement. The main goal for enforcement strategies is to deter unsafe behaviors of drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists, and to encourage all road users to obey traffic laws and share the road safely. This is another one of the complementary strategies that Safe Routes to School programs use to enable more students to walk and bike to school safely. But enforcement shouldn't be used alone, and it will not have a long-term effect. Communities must use a combination of enforcement, engineering, education, and encouragement strategies to address the specific needs of their schools. The public normally thinks of enforcement as officers going out writing tickets. In fact, enforcement for Safe Routes to School program is working in a network of community members working together to promote safe walking, biking, and driving. This can be accomplished through safety awareness, education, and yes, where necessary, the use of ticketing for dangerous behavior. Enforcement includes students, parents, adult school crossing guards, school and personnel, neighborhood watch programs, all working in conjunction with law enforcement, working together to enforce rules for safe walking and biking and driving makes it safer and easier for everyone to enjoy. Engineering. Engineering approaches can improve student safety to enable more biking and walking. It's a broad concept used to describe the design, implementation, operation, and maintenance of traffic control devices or physical measures, including low-cost as well as high-cost capital measures. We've got signs, islands, paint, thermo, ramps. These are just a few of the areas that can be covered through a Safe Routes to School project. Engineering works to create safe routes by improving paths, creating safe crossings, and slowing down traffic. At the same time, it recognizes the importance of a balanced roadway that can accommodate all modes of traffic, whether it's foot, bicycle, or motor vehicle. Engineering strategies are best used in conjunction with the other E's. Okay, now we're to evaluation. Every Safe Routes to School program, no matter the size, can benefit from evaluation. For local programs, evaluations allow for making sure the underlying problem is addressed and identified, setting reasonable expectations about what the program can do, identifying changes that will improve the program, and determining if the program is having the desired results. So it takes all 5 of these E's to make a successful Safe Routes to School project. And while there's no one right way to create a Safe Routes to School program, Let's look at a process that communities have followed for increasing opportunities for safe walking and biking to school. The first is, let's get the right people together. Different communities will find different organizations and individuals ready to be involved. This list is not exhaustive, but it is intended to provide ideas for the creation of a well-rounded group. You can use a committee that you already have and build off of that by including a principal, district administration, maintaining agency representation, parents, teachers, students, law enforcement, civic leaders, health department, planning departments, trails and biking groups, neighborhood groups, and service organizations. Next, we need to identify the problems and identify the many partners that we have. One way to identify the problems are map the routes that lead to the school. Look at walking and biking conditions for the students. Collect traffic counts, speed, and injury data can help identify driver-related safety issues. Walking around the school as a group to observe arrival and dismissal times can also be a best way to reach a collaborative understanding of the issues and the potential solutions. Find out what the school's existing policies are that might make it easier or more difficult for students to bike and walk. This is an example of a school walking map. One of the best ways to encourage students to walk and bike to school is to provide families with the information they need to determine the best route, taking into account both safety and convenience. At a minimum, routes should include the following information: the school's location, the surrounding streets and locations of sidewalks and pathways within a reasonable walking and biking distance from school, street names, landmarks, maybe traffic control devices such as stop signs or signals. Definitely need to show crosswalk locations, school crossing guard locations, posted speed and designated walking routes if they exist. Sometimes the information you can get this relatively easy from the school district or the local planning or traffic engineering department. Let's identify the solutions. We know that safety is our very first consideration. If it's not safe for students to walk and bike to school, then they should only be encouraged after you've got the problem fixed. It's likely that your committee will generate a long list of potential ideas and solutions. The next step will be easier if the list is prioritized. Are some issues more critical to address than others? Are there quick win-wins that the group can identify that would help to generate additional enthusiasm early in the program? So the recommended content should have a list of goals, list of activities, your current activities, and create action items that address each issue that you've identified in your plan. Make sure to include the E's. You should also define the party that's responsible for each action. Clearly state a timeline for completion for each action. Identify the projects in the program already in progress, and identify what resources might be needed. An example of an action item would be like the one shown here. Engineering. It says flashing school crossing signs. School crossing signs equipped with flashing beacons will be installed on the corners of the approaching school zone. It says bike lanes. Bike lanes, painted bike lanes, will be implemented along Main Street to create a designated area for bike lanes in the school. Education could be a program started in which the police chief goes to the classroom on Walk to School Day, with the assistance, of course, of the PTA to help inform students on safe walking and biking habits, along with the proper way to wear a bicycle helmet. Another part of education could be lesson plans in math classes, which include calculating walking distances, mileage, and incorporate pedometer readings. Enforcement could be radar speed trailers and active speed monitors to record areas where traffic speed needs to be enforced by local police officers. The police department training bicycle officers who will patrol the area where students bike or walk. Encouragement could be the school sends home a letter to the students informing them about the importance of biking and walking. They could also host an annual bike rodeo, educating all the students in kindergarten through 8th grade about bicycle safety. Here's another example of a school action plan, or a Safe Routes to School action plan. As you've seen, the Safe Routes to School plan does not need to be lengthy, but it needs to include the 5 E's: encouragement, enforcement, education, engineering, and evaluation. You need to have a time schedule for each part of these strategies and map an area covered by the plan and an explanation of how the program is going to be evaluated. Strategies that can be implemented early will help the group feel successful, and it builds momentum. Be sure to include fun activities because, you know, that's what encouragement is all about. Okay, you've got your action plan. You know what the issues are. Let's look to see how we can fund the program. Parts of Safe Routes to School programs cost very little. For example, most walk, bike, roll to school day coordinators say they spend less than $100 on their events. There are low-cost engineering solutions that can be put into place relatively short amount of time, such as new signs, fresh paint. On the other hand, there's some changes, such as a new sidewalk construction, that may need large amounts of capital, could take a little bit longer. There are several places that you can seek funding for Safe Routes to School projects. First is what we're talking about today, Florida's Safe Routes to School program. The call for applications went out December the 1st. They're due back into the districts on March 31st. We'll go over that a little bit further as we go down. Don't forget that transportation alternative funds are still available to use for Safe Routes to School projects. If your project is not funded through Florida's Safe Routes to School program, you can still apply for transportation alternatives funds. You can also look into the health department and physical activity funds. There are a lot of agencies that are giving grants out, a lot of organizations that target physical activity and how to get your community up and walking. Okay, so I said that we were going to talk more about the Safe Routes to School application, and here it is. Call for applications, once again, went out December 1st. They're due into your district, not central office, but into your local district, March 31st. Eligible applicants are kindergarten through 12th grade schools. This is different than what we had before. Before it was kindergarten through 8th grade. We have expanded it to include through 12th grade. Eligible maintaining agencies are FDOT, the counties, or cities. Applicants are encouraged to engage other partners So please work with your local schools, work with your local health departments to get a full, rounded Safe Routes to School application. For the guidelines and the application, you can go to www.srtsfl.org. Please make sure that you review the guidelines before you begin your project. Also, make sure that you check back from time to time to see updates and changes. Now, when you go to this address, you're going to say, Sarita, that's not the Safe Routes to School website. It's a change of address page. It's just easier to remember this because it's saferoutestoschoolflorida.org. All you have to do is just click on the Safe Routes to School program link, and it will take you directly to the safety website. Please note that this is just a temporary change of address page. Later on this year, saferoutestoschoolflorida.org will be the address again. We will keep you updated on that. Okay, you brought the right people together. You've identified all of the issues. You've got your solutions. You got your plan put together. You've identified your source, your funding source. It's time now to start the application process. First, you need to collect the required data. You can find the travel tally and the parent survey at www.saferoutesinfo.org. Once you get there, if you will go to the Data Central tab, it will take you to the data collection forms. Every school, let me say it one more time, every school must conduct both the tally, the travel tally, that's the one that the teacher does in the classroom. How many of y'all walked to school today? Raise your hand. How many rode a bike? So forth, so on. And you must do the parent survey before submitting your application. Once you're awarded the project, you need to do the surveys again 3 to 6 months, or before the project begins, and then 3 to 6 months after the project. So we're talking about 3 times. You need to do it once when the application is submitted, once right before the project begins, and then once again 3 to 6 months after the completion of the project. If you upload the information or the surveys yourself, you can get the results instantly. If you mail them to the National Center for Safe Routes, parent surveys and travel tallies normally take about 6 weeks to get entered. So plan accordingly. You can enlist high school students to enter this information and give them community service hours. It's kind of like a win-win for them and yourself. Once you go to the Safe Routes to School page, you can see the link to the FDOT application. It can be filled out electronically. Section 1 is just general information such as who the school the application is for, who is the applicant. It's mandatory that we have a signature from the principal or your school district. We need to make sure that we have the maintaining agency signature. And please, please make sure that you get your local MPO or TPO's signature. Section 2 contains information about your school-based Safe Routes to School committee. Please note that your committee meetings have to be publicly advertised. It also includes agreement to provide the survey data. Right-of-way information. Please understand we do not have funding to purchase right-of-way. If you do not include this right-of-way information, there is a very good chance that your project will not be considered for funding. Are you LATSA certified? If you're not, that does not mean that your project cannot be awarded. Letters of support. And we know that you could get a letter from a lot of parents, but you need to get a good combination of letters from your local law enforcement, from your bike ped groups in the area, PTA presidents or members. And is this project identified as a bike ped priority? So is it a missing link? For those of you who have completed applications in the past, yes, we did not leave this information out. We want to know what's been done in the past for your engineering. And then tell me what you're planning on doing. Same thing for education, encouragement, enforcement, and tell us how you're going to evaluate. Please, please, if you're submitting more than one application, do not just copy and paste. You need to get all 5 of these involved in filling this portion out, especially the school. If the principal is not on board, there will be no encouragement for students to bike or walk. Section 4, we're going to be talking about identifying the problem. First and foremost, is this a hazardous walking condition? Are there students that are walking or biking in less than ideal conditions? If so, explain. How many can bike or walk to school? If your project is going to be over the northwest side of the school, don't count the students who live over in the southeast side of the school as a potential number of students who could bike or walk to school. Please concentrate your counts over on the northwest side. Demographics, reduced lunch program. We got the school travel data as well as the route data. All right, Section 5 is where we go and tell all about what your problem is. First of all, give us exact information where this project is to be built. Say we're going to be building a sidewalk. Is it going to be on the north side of the road, the south side, east or west? Please let us know. If it's from the Citco store or Citco gas station down to the school, please give us a little bit more information than that. Section B, are we putting in a new sidewalk, a new bike lane, a new shared use path? Please go into detail. You can use additional paper if you need. Please let us know about your traffic control. Do you need pedestrian signals? Do we need school zones? And the data. You are being scored on all the information that you submit, so understand more information is better. There's a change this year. Contingency is locally funded. We did not include a percentage for PE or CEI. So please make sure that you come up with as close to an estimate as possible. We would like you to attach an itemization of your construction cost as well as the name of the person who's doing the cost estimate. As was mentioned, I'm from District 1 originally. I was their Safe Routes to School coordinator. And there was nothing as worse as getting an application and it didn't mention anything about piping or drainage. And when we go out and walk the project, half the project had to be piped. Please take time, give a good cost estimate as well as itemization. This is your submission checklist. It kind of goes over what you need to make sure that you include. Pictures are good. Maps showing where the school is. You can work with the school to get a map showing where the students attend. Please include your proof of right-of-way, the parent survey results, the student tally results, your letters of support. You remember the publicly advertised meeting? We need to have a copy of the public notice, sign-in sheet, and minutes of your meeting. And if you're claiming that this is a hazardous walking condition area, please submit documentation that it has been noted as that. Once again, pictures, crash data, and if you have an engineering report evaluating the problem, that's even better. Submit your application to the folks that we have listed here. Each district has a contact person. They are more than happy to help you. Contact them first. The application review processes. Once the applications are submitted, the Safe Routes to School coordinator makes sure the application is complete. The evaluation committee ranks the application using their score sheet. They do an on-site inspection of the project or orders a concept report to make sure that they are feasible to build. Then they submit the projects up here to the safety office in Tallahassee. We look at how complete the projects are up here. We make sure that they fit the federal and state Safe Routes to School guidelines. Once we have made our total selection, our final selection, we send the request approvals back to the district, and then the districts will notify each applicant of whether the project's been awarded or not. You've been funded. You got your project funded. So now it's time to start acting on your plan. Let's hold a fun-filled kickoff event and invite the media. Or how about participating in Walk or Bike to School Day or celebrating Walking Wednesdays? You can start walking activities before, during, or after school right on the school grounds if there's no place safe to walk. Enforcement, education, encouragement. All of these strategies come together as the plan is implemented. Remember, if improvements are needed before students can walk to school, start walking activities at the school. After the program begins, careful monitoring will identify strategies to increase the number of students walking and biking to school. You need to keep your committee together because they need to consider how to sustain energy and interest in this program so that the students continue to walk and bike to school safely. There's several key strategies for keeping the program going. Identify additional champions. Let people know about your success. Encourage policy change. This might be at the school or school district, local government policies that support walking and biking in school. For example, your local planning department might promote new school construction within walking and biking distance of residential areas. A school district might adopt a safety curriculum and create a permanent committee. A permanent committee within the PTA, school site council, or other group means that Safe Routes to School will continue to grow and will continue to be successful. So in wrapping up, we've come full circle back to what we have learned. Safe Routes projects do require a bit of work. However, providing a safer place for our students to bike and walk is definitely worth it. We know why it's important to give all 5 E's involved in the program. It's a community project. It's not just one entity. Are you feeling overwhelmed? That's all right. Reach out to your local Safe Routes to School coordinator. They can help you navigate through this process. Please understand, though, they will not fill the application out for you. That is for you to do. All right, questions?
Right now, we do not have any questions in the chat. If you have any questions for Sarita, please type them into the chat. We'll give folks a few minutes.
Sarita, this is Dennis. I just wanted to ask you, you feel you have answered the 2 questions that were given yesterday by Mike Flick? Can a signal be funded as part of the SRTS application?
Yes. Now, if it is going to be for the benefit of students biking and walking to and from school, no, if it's to relieve traffic congestion so that parents and school buses can get in and out of the school safer.
Okay. And can the equipment for a reduced speed zone, school zone with flashing beacons be funded as part of Safe Routes to School application?
Yes, it can. Some districts have even gone as far as buying the equipment and letting the local municipalities install it for them. So you can either include it with your Safe Routes to School application, which I think is the best way to do it, or work with your local Safe Routes to School coordinator and see if they can fund county-wide or district-wide school zones.
Okay. I'm going to, Anthony, can we open it up for Matt Weaver and Stephen Benson? And
yes, I can certainly unmute District 7. There's a few questions are coming in the chat. What is the range of funding available for projects? Like, how large can a project be?
Florida's Safe Routes to School program has set aside $7 million a year for the next 10 years for Safe Routes projects. Now, that does not mean that District 7, District 5, District whatever is going to get a project for $7 million. When we first began Safe Routes to School in Florida under Safety Lou, we distributed the funds based on student population. So we're going to kind of keep the funds spread out that way. So we're looking at probably close to, just say, about $1 million per district per year.
Is there any consideration for FDOT to pay for drainage for Safe Routes to School projects, since they will not for TAP projects?
Okay. Drainage can be included for a Safe Routes to School project. However, if it is more than 50% of the project cost, I'm going to recommend that we do not fund it. That is a drainage project. So yes, if the drainage is less than 50% of the total project cost.
There's a question in the chat about the downloading of the slides. I went ahead and posted the link again into the chat window. The presentation is not up presently, but it will be up this afternoon, as well as the recording of the webinar. If we have not started an application yet, can we still make it for the March 31st deadline? How long does it take?
Yes, you can get started. Please don't rush just to get an application in. We are funded for 10 years. So, if it's not completed this year, that's okay. Or for this cycle, that's okay. Keep working on it. If you want to get it in by the March 31st date, yes, you do have time. What takes the longest are the parent surveys. So please make sure that you get someone locally to enter that information for you. You still have time because public meetings have to be advertised for, 10 days? So you still have time. If you have a project location in sight, I suggest that you meet with the school and start working with the school right away. Your school transportation directors are excellent resources. They know where the students live and where they need a facility, so I would reach out to them.
And worst case scenario, you'll be very, very prepared for the following year.
Yeah.
So that, the funding cycle comes along every year, so absolutely. Can you please confirm that a standing, publicly noticed school advisory committee can serve as the Safe Routes to School committee by incorporating Safe Routes to School into their agenda?
Okay, yes, the SAC can, however, not by just incorporating it into their agenda. It needs to be your Safe Routes to School meeting needs to be a separate meeting. Your SAC committee can be the committee, but the meeting needs to be all about this project. It doesn't need to be about school violence or whatever else they might be covering. It needs to be a separate meeting just for the Safe Routes to School project that you're talking about.
Regarding the need for traffic controls, will signal warrants be needed prior to submitting an application?
If you're requesting, a signal, then yes, you will need to include the warrants with it.
Will Safe Routes to School fund pedestrian refuge islands?
Yes, it will. However, once again, you need to make sure that this is not intended for the general public. I mean, anybody can use it, yes, but the main purpose needs to be getting children, students, I should say not children, high schoolers don't like to be called children, but to get students safely to and from school. If you can show the traffic or the potential student traffic, then yes.
Will Safe Routes, a related question, will Safe Routes to School fund pedestrian refuge islands as part of a street crossing enhancement?
Yes. I'm not sure. I believe that's the same thing, well, as part of a street crossing enhancement.
I guess they mean as part of a larger project. That they're doing a corridor-wide crossing enhancement project, and there's a school in the area. Will that portion, can that be done as a State Routes to School?
Yes, it can, but please remember, you still got to show justification as to why. And you still have to do all the legwork, fill out the full application.
State Routes to School versus TAP. What is the advantage of submitting a State Routes to School application versus a TAP? Since there's significantly more work required, and Safe Routes to School projects must go through the TAP process anyhow.
Okay, first of all, Safe Routes to School projects do not go through TAP anymore. This is standalone Safe Routes to School funds. This is not TA funds. It's not Transportation Alternative Funds. So what's the advantage? These funds, the $7 million, is for Safe Routes to School projects only. You do not have to compete with enhancement projects, trail projects, or other projects that would not benefit students getting to school safely.
If selected this year, when does the money become available, and when does it need to be utilized by?
If your project is awarded, we can begin funding. I have funding available for, let me just think. I believe that this is for design in 17, it's either design 17, construction in 18 and 19, or I believe it's in there. It's over a 3-year period between 17, 18, and 19.
For the school advisory committee, can the agenda be full dedicated to State Routes to School in a regularly scheduled meeting, or does it need to be a separately scheduled meeting?
It can be with a regularly scheduled meeting. It just needs to be advertised that this is for project along Main Street, sidewalk project or whatever. It needs just to be advertised then that this will be discussed during this FAC meeting.
Are bicycle racks and associated site improvements eligible capital expenses?
Yes. I can tell you that District 5 did a fantastic job under the old Safe Routes to School under safety loops, putting in bike parking facilities at schools, bike shelters. So please, yes, encourage your schools, if they need that, to apply for them. The last thing you want to see is a bunch of kids riding their bikes to school, and then once they get to school, they have to throw their bikes down or prop them up against the fence because there's no place to park them.
It looks like at the moment we have all the questions in the chat. While people think about that and digest it, I'm going to show something that District 7 is starting to do this year. That is a online application for the Safe Routes School through the Tampa Bay Traffic Safety site. I'll make myself the presenter and show that here in a second. Show my screen. Okay. You see the Safety Academy page?
Yes.
Okay, making sure I'm showing the correct of my two screens. Again, right now we're featuring it up on the menu bar across the top, but under Safe Routes School, there's information about this. I'll go ahead and put a link as well to the webinar on here. We've got the call for applications, the project guidelines, and the application form on here, the one that's downloadable, and you fill it out and email it back over to Matt Weaver. But we also have a button for applying online, which takes you to a secure site. Right now, if someone clicks on that, it'll just take them to a login screen, and you don't have a username and password, so you'd have to coordinate with Matt Weaver and myself to get usernames and passwords for everyone that is wanting to register for this. But it's basically the same application form that Sarita went through earlier in her presentation, just made into a web form. It goes through the same sections using the same language, fill in the boxes where it's required to be typed, where it's the check boxes. We have drop downs for selections. You go through your school information, application information, school board representative information, maintaining agency, all the same things, eligibility and feasibility criteria, going down. I mean, everything these are drop downs that, yes, no questions. These were the check boxes in her form. Going through, it's a fairly long form, but background information, your 5 E's, past efforts, future planned efforts, problem identification, the infrastructure improvement requested. The only change that I have to do is the cost estimate and the submission checklist. I need to expand my checklist. I think I was using an older version of the application form when I created my street. The one you showed in your presentation was newer. And I created two new sections on here, which is the attachments. So there's a few sections in the form that say, hey, if you need more information, go ahead and attach a file, or if you have your color project map and your all the right-of-way information, your field pictures, all your public notices, all that, any type of file, I think except for executables, can be uploaded in here by just selecting this, and it puts it all in a nice little location. If you've created a bunch of files, you can also put them in a folder and zip it and upload that as a single file rather than having to upload 50 different files all in a row. And I've got resources back to the Tampa Bay Traffic Safety page, as well as application guideline and the Safe Routes to School guidance for applications. So this is something that's available for the folks in FDOT District 7 to do their applications rather than the standard form. The Q&A here, see if there's anything. Is the username and password the same as the HSIP process? It can be, Stephen. Right now, the way that the permissions are set up, they are different subsites, kind of technical stuff in SharePoint, so that they don't share the permissions. I would have to go into that location and grant access to the folks that are using the Highway Safety Improvement application form. It would be a checkbox in their username. So anybody that has access in District 7, that has gone through the Safety Summit and created online HSIP applications. I would not create a separate username and password for them. I would have them use the same one. So yeah, I would just have to enable that for those users. I just need to get a list of who is going to be creating online applications through the Safe Routes to School form.
So what this means is we're going to have 43 fantastic applications submitted, right?
Well, at least 40. I don't know that Dennis and I will be submitting ones. And I don't know if you will.
Are there any other questions, Anthony?
Those are all the questions that are in the chat at the moment.
I would like to make one comment to all those that are still on, especially those that are professional engineers. As you notice, if you go out to the web page for the PDH form, it says 2014-2015. So we will get the 2016 posted later today, and then you have access to it. Also, I didn't know if Stephen, you seem to be unmuted, so I didn't know if you had anything to say, and I couldn't unmute Matt or Joe Santos, so I didn't know if you could do it from your end, Anthony, and if they had any comments.
Sure. Attendee cannot be unmuted. I don't know why I cannot unmute Mr. Santos.
Might be from their end, maybe. I'm good, Stephen. No questions from Stephen. Okay, thank you, Stephen.
Okay. Well, great then. I mean, I guess that concludes our first session of 2016 of the Safety Academy. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I will stop the recording, and we'll stay on the line for a few minutes if there's any other questions that come up in the chat.
Sarita, I want to really thank you. Very good job. And under your circumstances, having been fighting a sickness, you did very good. So appreciate it. Thank you so much.